The Old Man and the Sea, part 22. After it is light, he thought, I will work back to the 40 fathom bait and cut it away too, and link up the reserve coil. I will have lost 200 fathoms of good Catalan cordel. He's using a Spanish word here for line, right? The line he uses to fish, and probably Catalan is the brand of line. And the hooks and the leaders. I will have lost 200 fathoms of good Catalan cordel, and the hooks and the leaders. Because remember, he had to cut the fish loose, okay? Nice expression, guys. Cut somebody loose, right? To free somebody. And of course, the fish took the hook, the lid. Remember, the lid is that usually wire part, you know, that connects the hook to the line, so that it will be stronger if the fish, you know, I don't know, rolls itself there or tries to, I don't know, hit the line there. That can be replaced. But who replaces this fish if I hook some fish and it cuts him off? Remember the last video, I think, I told you about the fact that if another fish offered resistance to the opposite direction, so this line here could break. Here's another reason why it was important for the old man to cut the fish loose. You know, this fish here could come in this direction and get entangled in the big fish's line, you know. I don't know what that fish was that took the bait just now. It could have been a marlin or a broadbill or a shark. I never felt him. I had to get rid of him too fast. Think about it. This is something very interesting about the old man. Remember, I told you that there was no explanation, just action. It doesn't mean that later on the old man can't go back to the action he did and try to meditate what happened, analyze what happened, right? And I think that's very revealing of, for example, physical activities, right? I think it's almost impossible. I don't play soccer, but I'm pretty sure it's almost impossible for the soccer player to tell himself in words, you know, explicit, how can I say, verbal thought while he's doing things. He never can think like, oh, I'm going to kick the ball with this foot, and then I'm going to use this foot, and then I'm going to do this and that and that. He just does it, right? It comes in that action. In that moment, the action just comes as magic, you know, it just appears, you know. It binds together all of his practice, everything he has studied, and in that moment, all of that disappears, and just that magic moment happens, you know. I don't know, think about a dancer. A dancer would do the same thing. But, you know, I guess a good dancer, if he wants to improve, he can go back and think about the way he danced, and he can think, well, but there was that movement. I think I did that because of that, but if I did like this, it would be better, or it would have been worse, or something like that. You know, at the moment the other fish was hooked, the old man just cut him loose, right? Remember, I'm using he for fish because the old man likes to use it. And later on he thought, well, why did I do that? Okay? Oh, I did that because of this and that and that. So again, you have this sense of, first you know what is the right thing to do, and then you have the explanation of as to what are the reasons for having done that thing, right? Now, I've talked to a judge. One of my students is a judge, and he told me something very interesting. He said that sometimes, you know, when he's deciding on a case, and he says that's very common on judges, you know, you know the outcome, you know that the right decision to do, and then you're going to find the theory to justify the decision you have made, you know. Well, I think we could apply that to all areas of life, right? Okay, people, a broadbill is a kind of swordfish, right? I never felt him, I had to get rid of him too fast. Aloud he said, I wish I had the boy. But you haven't got the boy, he thought. You have only yourself, and you had better work back to that last line now. In the dark, or not in the dark, and cut it away and hook up the two reserve coils, because there is another line that is down with a bait there. People, by now I think you've realized that whenever the man says something aloud, we have simple quotes, all right? Single quotes. Okay, quotation marks, right? So single quote is just one here. And whenever the old man is thinking, there is no way to know it. The old man's thoughts are there with the narrator, but of course we can identify and tell one from the other. So he did it. It was difficult in the dark, and once the fish made a surge. A surge is like a wave. If the fish makes a surge, the fish does like this, alright? Just like a wave. The fish swims up and then down again. So once the fish made a surge, that pulled him down on his face and made a cut below his eye. People, I really think it's interesting to understand exactly what happened there. Okay, the fish did something and the old man got hurt. We could summarize the action just like that. But, okay, how can the fish, by making a surge, make the man hit his face? I think if we try to imagine that, we can visualize, we can picture, what is happening. So that's my challenge for you. Pause the video and try to imagine. Give me, not me, but yourself, the reason how could that happen. Well, I hope you have done it. I really, really hope when I propose those exercises, you try to do it, even better if you try to do it in English so you can improve your English. Believe me, when you're talking about things like that, we have to use all the language we have, right? But of course you can try it in Portuguese as well. But I think it will help improve your reading, mainly a reading, complex reading like this. Okay, so keep in mind, the old man has the line, going across his shoulder. Here he has the reserve coils of line, okay? And here the line is very taut. Remember? Taut is like stretched, the word used in our book, taut, right here. And the old man is taking all that strain. So probably the fish is taking him forward, right? So like this. And remember, whenever he wants to put more pressure, just a sec, let me see. I think I need you guys to see more of my body. Sorry for that in the middle of the thing here. Yes, I think that's better. Okay, so whenever the old man wants to, put more pressure against the fish, he can just lean back, right? By leaning back, this line here will be pulled, right? Okay, so if he is like this, remember sometimes he has to brace. I almost broke it. He has to brace himself against the thwart there, the place where you can sit, right? So you have to brace yourself so the fish won't bring you down. Now, if the fish makes a surge, the fish will, let's see, take some rope, give you some rope by going up, right? Or line, rope or line. So give you some rope and then you are going to be like this. But when the fish swims down, the fish is going to take again that line, okay? So it's going to be something like this, and then the fish will swim down again, and then you go like this. I hope you can picture it. Starting from that paragraph. So he did it. It was difficult in the dark, and once the fish made a surge that put him down on his face and made a cut below his eye. The blood ran down his cheek, a little way, but it coagulated and dried before it reached the chin, and he worked his way back to the bow and rested against the wood. Okay, so all the time if he's moving, he has to move with that pressure, right? So I guess if he's going to rest against the wood, he's not going to be bracing himself with his arms, right? He can just go there in the bow. So imagine here is the gunnel of the bow, right? So he can just put his body here and rest a little bit, having his chest against the gunnel. But it coagulated and dried before it reached his chin, and he worked his way back to the bow and rested against the wood. He adjusted the sack carefully. He adjusted the sack and carefully worked the line so it came across a new part of his shoulders. Of course, we can imagine now why that's important. And holding it anchored with his shoulders, he carefully felt the pull of the fish and then felt with his hand the progress of the skiff through the water. Anchored with his shoulders, he carefully felt the pull. Okay, so again, the shoulders are the anchor. He has the line here, right? Sometimes he has to brace himself. He has to sometimes brace himself with both hands. Now he's taking all the strain here. He's feeling the line. The other hand he's putting in the water, because remember, depending on how fast the current comes against his water, it will of course mean how fast they are moving, right? He carefully felt the pull of the fish and then felt with his hand the progress of the skiff through the water. I wonder what he made that lurch for. Lurch is a sudden movement, okay? He thought. The wire must have slipped on the great heel of his back. So now we have another theory. The first theory was that the fish made a surge, right? Now we have another theory, and here I have another exercise for you, another exercise of imagination. Let me read the paragraph, see if I can help you with any words there, and then it will be your job trying to imagine what happened. I wonder what he made that lurch for, he thought. The wire must have slipped on the great heel of his back. Certainly his back cannot feel as bad as mine does, but he cannot pull this skiff forever, no matter how great he is. Okay, so this part, just stop and try to imagine. Well, so imagine the line is here. I am the fish, right? The hook is here. I mean, here's the hook. The leader is here. The line is here. So we don't know if this line is not going, imagine I have a big body here, all right? My body is not downwards, my body is backward here. So maybe the line is, circling my body like this. I'm a fish here. It's like this, okay? And I am carrying the line. The line is, around this part of my body, okay? Of course, for the fish it would be behind. And then depending on the way I move, the line escapes from here, and then of course you have this difference in line, okay? Of course, you may be thinking, oh Jesus, why should I spend my time trying to imagine what happened to the line? My answer is, I don't know, ask Hemingway, alright? Hemingway wanted you to imagine that, alright? So that's my first answer for your question. My second answer to your question is that effort of imagination is going to make you, more and more ready for that, okay? So it will be easier in the other books. So yes, it's worth spending a lot of time imagining, where the line touches or where it escaped or anything like that. So going back to our sentence, I wonder what he made that lurch for. He thought, the wire must have slipped on the great heels of his back. Certainly his back cannot feel as bad as mine does, but he cannot pull this skiff forever. No matter how great he is. Now everything is cleared away that might make trouble, and I have a big reserve of line. All that a man can ask. I'll open another part because the video is quite long.